Have you ever gazed into the deep, calm eyes of a newborn and wondered what secrets lie behind that innocence? What if I told you that the infant, who seems oblivious to the world, was privy to the universe's profoundest truths just moments before birth? This is not a mere figment of imagination, but a startling revelation from the Garbha Upanishad, an ancient text associated with our own Krishna Yajurveda. This Upanishad, whose author is believed to be the great sage Pippalada, introduces us to a journey of the soul that we generally do not even imagine. It states that the soul, in the solitary darkness of the womb, recalls its countless past experiences, reviews its karmic accounts, and also makes a firm resolve to move towards spiritual perfection. But then, what happens in that single moment of birth that transforms that all-knowing soul into an apparently ignorant infant? Which subtle power, which mysterious veil covers all that memory, and for what purpose? Today, we will attempt to unravel the layers of this profound mystery of consciousness, going beyond the limits of logic and material understanding. Delving into the sutras of the Garbha Upanishad, we will comprehend the divine purpose hidden behind that great oblivion. This story is not just about the arrival of a child. It is your story, my story, and the story of all of us. It is the story of that forgotten promise which perhaps our soul is still silently searching for today. Let us move forward together on this mysterious and meaningful journey. To reach the depths of this mystery, we must understand that initial moment when the soul prepares to inhabit a new body. This is not merely a physical process, but a profound spiritual and karma-driven sequence. According to the Upanishads, after the state beyond the body, the soul carries with it a subtle accumulation of its actions, karma. This is a subtle collection of samskaras, meaning deep impressions etched on the mind, and vasanas, or unfulfilled desires. These very samskaras and desires propel the soul back towards experience and attract it to a womb of a particular kind, where their fruits can be experienced. The scriptures also state that at the time of conception, a special energy field is created from the parent's emotions and state of consciousness. This energy field acts like a magnetic attraction and invites only that soul whose consciousness and karmic tendencies are in harmony with it. Thus, our entry into life is not an accidental event, but a natural culmination of our own consciousness and actions. The development of consciousness in the womb is an extremely subtle and mysterious process. As soon as the soul enters the womb, the Garbha Upanishad presents a wonderful picture of the gradual development of the body and consciousness over 9 months. This description matches modern embryology on many levels, but it also has a deep dimension of consciousness and spiritual experience attached to it. According to the Upanishads, in its initial stage, the soul exists as kalala, meaning in a liquid form. In a short time, it begins to appear like a bubble, and then takes on the form of a mass of flesh. In this stage, the 5 great elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, come together to lay the foundation of the body. Later, the shape of the head forms, which subsequently becomes the center of consciousness and perception. And then the feet develop, which provide the being with the ability to advance in the field of action. Over time, the abdomen and waist area take shape, and then the spine is formed. Spiritually, the spine is considered extremely important because in yogic tradition, it is described as the center of the main flow of energy. After this, the nose, eyes, and ears develop, and by the 7th month, the being is no longer just a body, but becomes fully connected with a sensitive and experiential consciousness. It becomes capable of hearing, feeling, and receiving experiences occurring within. The eighth month is considered the most mysterious phase of this entire journey. According to the Upanishads, at this time, the soul gains a complete understanding of its past experiences. In the solitude of the womb, its countless life experiences emerge before it like a motion picture. Where it was born, what relationships it formed, what actions it experienced, and what joys and sorrows it went through. Everything becomes clear at once. This realization is not joyful but filled with deep pain and helplessness. When consciousness observes the sequence of recurring life changes and finds itself bound by its own karmic impressions, a deep remorse arises within it. In that state, it directly perceives the transience of the world and the instability of material attractions. In this profound experience, the soul turns towards that supreme being, which is the fundamental consciousness of all creation, and understands that in its refuge lies the path to rise above this continuous cycle. In the deep darkness of the womb, when the light of knowledge becomes extremely painful for the soul, at that very moment, the soul makes a profound, sacred, and unwavering resolve. Turning towards that supreme power, it prays with all its heart and makes the greatest vow of its existence. This is not an ordinary thought, but a divine assurance born from the consciousness of the soul. According to the Upanishads, the soul pleads with the Supreme Being, stating that it has taken birth in countless wombs, suckled milk from innumerable mothers, and repeatedly endured the painful experiences of life. It also acknowledges that it has had to bear the consequences of its actions alone. In that state of humility and repentance, it firmly resolves that if it can emerge from the constricted and painful covering of the womb this time, it will seek refuge in the Supreme Being. It will walk the path that will lead it to the realization of its true nature, advance towards the knowledge that can liberate it from within, and dedicate its life not merely to external attractions, but to the remembrance of God and spiritual upliftment. This vow is not of one soul, but of every soul. This is the hidden purpose that we clearly know just before birth. According to the Upanishads, in the final stage, the jiva remains in the state of meditation and contemplation, and inwardly, remembering the Supreme Being, awaits its entry into life. Then finally comes that decisive moment when the soul has to enter this world. But at that very moment, a mystery occurs that changes the direction of the entire journey. After 9 months of deep consciousness and spiritual experience, the soul reaches a door that is not a normal path, but the door of oblivion. This is the point where the deepest mystery of consciousness is revealed. The experience of birth is extremely intense and painful for the soul. Emerging from the safe and tranquil environment of the womb and passing through a narrow passage is a profound trauma. The Upanishads describe this process, stating that at the time of delivery, a powerful wind propels the soul towards the outer world. And as soon as the infant experiences the first touch of this world's air, at that very moment, a special wind, known as Vishnavi Vayu, exerts its influence. This is not considered an ordinary life force, but rather a symbol of a divine order. It is the power that casts a veil over consciousness. With its mere touch, the soul forgets its countless life experiences. The awareness of its actions, the knowledge accumulated within it, and most importantly, that sacred vow, also fade from memory. The soul that a moment ago knew the purpose of its existence, in the very next moment, as a newborn, is limited only to sensation and crying. This is the state that the Upanishads refer to as the Great Forgetting.
Here, a deep question arises. Why does this forgetfulness occur? Is it a punishment or a harsh arrangement of consciousness? In the Vedic perspective, the answer is extremely compassionate. This forgetfulness is not a punishment, but a divine grace. If the soul clearly remembered its past experiences, the emotional burden would become so deep that living the present life would become impossible. The complexities of relationships, the impressions of past experiences, and the memories of the past would shackle consciousness. This oblivion offers the soul a fair opportunity, where it can live its duties and experiences in the present moment without prejudice. It is an opportunity for a new beginning, a blank slate on which a new story of life can be written. For this reason, the Upanishads see it as God's grace, an arrangement that prepares the soul for the journey ahead. Now the question is no longer why we forget, but whether this knowledge completely disappears or remains silently present somewhere within us. To understand this mystery, we must move forward. If this thought is also stirring something within you, then pause for a moment and experience this great forgetting in your mind. If this information has made you think, then let us know by writing "great forgetting" in the comments below. Now, let's uncover the next layer of this mystery. So does all that knowledge gained in the womb and that sacred vow disappear forever? Is the memory of the soul completely destroyed by the touch of the Vishnavi air? The answer from the Upanishads and the yoga tradition is extremely clear and reassuring. No, that knowledge is not destroyed. It is merely covered. It remains preserved like a seed in the deeper layers of our consciousness, in the subconscious mind, waiting. This knowledge lives in the soul's memory, but our conscious mind cannot directly read it. Nevertheless, this hidden truth continuously influences our lives in subtle and mysterious ways. Sometimes it emerges as a feeling, sometimes as an inner calling, and sometimes as a strange sense of recognition. Have you ever experienced a deep sense of familiarity with a complete stranger? Or arrived at a new place and felt like you've been there before? Or when you read a spiritual text or listen to a saint, why does it feel like they aren't saying anything new, but rather reminding you of something you already know deep down? All this is an echo of that forgotten knowledge. It is the soft music of that forgotten promise of the soul, which continuously plays within us. When we come into contact with truth, righteousness, and spiritual consciousness, that seed lying dormant in the subconscious slowly begins to sprout. The deep sense of belonging, peace, and recognition that we feel is Pratyabhijna, re-recognition. This is a sign that we are not meeting that truth for the first time, but rather recognizing it again. That subtle voice of our conscience, which teaches us to distinguish between right and wrong, is perhaps a faint whisper of that sacred resolve which the soul took in the womb. That intuitive sense which guides us without logic is a glimpse of that very memory. Viewed from this perspective, the purpose of human life takes on an entirely new meaning. It is no longer limited to mere physical actions, but becomes a sacred opportunity to reawaken that lost memory, to gradually remove the veil of illusion that fell upon consciousness at the moment of birth. The paths of yoga, meditation, devotion, and knowledge are not truly ways to acquire something new, but rather processes of remembrance. They lead us inward, not outward, to where that truth already exists. When a yogi enters deep samadhi, they retouch the same state of consciousness where the soul was in complete awareness and directly connected to the ultimate reality. The Gita, hinting at this profound truth, states that memory persists through many births, but it gets covered by the veil of consciousness. The fundamental difference between an accomplished yogi and an ordinary person is that the yogi has removed that veil and regained memory, while the ordinary person is still living at the level of forgetfulness. The hardships and challenges that come in life are also part of this process of remembrance. They make us aware of the transience of the world and turn us towards that fundamental inner quest, the quest for that peace and that truth which the soul resolved to find before birth. This is the profound secret of human life and its most sacred purpose. So today, in the light of the Garbha Upanishad, we tried to understand that wonderful and mysterious journey of the soul, which extends from before birth to the moment of birth. This journey tells us how the soul, in the solitude of the womb, is in a state of complete awareness, observing its countless life experiences and making a sacred resolve to move towards spiritual perfection. We also learned why this memory is veiled at the time of birth by the touch of the Vishnavi Vayu, not as a punishment, but as a divine grace, so that life can become a new beginning. The most important truth is that that knowledge and that resolve are never destroyed. They continue to live today in the depths of our consciousness, in the subtle voice of our conscience, and in our innate attraction to truth, silently guiding us. So the next time you look into the eyes of a newborn, remember that you are not just seeing an innocent body, you are seeing an ancient consciousness that has known the mysteries of the universe, that has made a promise to the Supreme Being, and that is now embarking on a journey to remember that very promise. And whenever a deep desire to know the meaning of life awakens within you, or a momentary detachment from worldly attractions arises, do not ignore it. Stop. Listen quietly. It is possible that this is the same call, the same resolve that the soul made just before birth. Now ask yourself this question. Do you want to live your life merely as a coincidence? Or do you want to see it as a great opportunity to rediscover that forgotten promise and recognize your true self? If this profound knowledge of the Garbha Upanishad has touched your inner self, and you wish to delve deeper into such depths of consciousness with us, then become a part of this journey. Carry forward the light of this knowledge, for it is possible that this is the truth we all have received this human life to remember. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for listening to this journey with mind and emotion until the end.